Hi, Stuart Barn here, and this is video 6 in this series on rhythm guitar playing. In this video, I want to look at using neighbouring chords when we're playing rhythm guitar. It's pretty unavoidable here that we have to talk a little bit about music theory. If you don't know any music theory yet, hopefully enough of this video will still make sense, but you might want to look at learning some music theory, at least the basics. As I mentioned in the previous video, I have a music theory app which covers all of this. I'll leave a link to it in the notes below. So let's say I'm playing an A major and I know that this is chord number 5 in a key. Now what that means is that there is definitely another major chord in that same key 2 frets lower. So I could use that as just a brief sidestep. So if my tune dictates that I'm supposed to be playing an A for say 2 bars, I could do that. I could do any number of ad-libs or decorations like we've mentioned in previous videos, but I could also just touch on that G just to make it a little more interesting. So that might be you can actually do it keeping the same bass note as well. So there I moved the whole lot down, but I could, instead of doing my bar chord like this, use my thumb. I've abandoned the A string, I've now just got the 4 thinner strings, and then just move that down. So that will give me so it's quite nice, it's quite interesting, it's more fun to play. As with many of these suggestions, you have to use your judgment as to whether this is appropriate for your song. In some cases it will be, in others less so. Again, touching music theory, if I know this is chord 5 in my key, then I know there's a minor chord here, a tone higher. So I could go. And it's not really damaging my chord. It's still basically an A, just with a couple of little deviations there. In many situations that will work. Slightly more tricky to keep the bass note there. Kind of haven't got enough fingers. But what you could do is, in this case, use the open A string. So here's my A again, this time with A in my open A string instead of fretted. Now I can easily do this minor chord, so that might give me this. And that works fine. Same sort of thing with this chord shape. Here's my D. Let's pick a different, let's do a minor. So here's a D minor, or D minor 7. If I happen to know that this is chord number 2 in some key, then I know there is a major chord 1 tone behind. So again, I could go I could again keep the bass note still. To do this major chord with that bass note, I actually only really have to do that, or even easier, that. So I just go, and that works fine. Again, if I know it's chord 2, then I could also play a minor chord a tone higher than this. I just happen to know that that's what the next chord is in the sequence. So that's it, using neighbouring chords. As I say, it helps to know a bit of music theory, but as a minimum you could just do a bit of trial and error and see if a major chord or a minor chord above or below the intended chord works. I found it helpful. Please click subscribe, give it a thumbs up if you did. See you in the next video.